They laughed when Dmitry Bivol fell apart. But what takes place next will surprise you. Russia and the United States have been declared adversaries from time immemorial. Dmitry Bivol, a Russian pugilist, is nothing less of a knockout machine. However, the United States is still standing strong. Over time, young and enhanced combatants have risen from the USA in order to face warriors from other parts of the world. Still, one night, Dmitry Bivol was forced to fight for his image and that of his country against an American who did not take him seriously. In today's video, you will see a battle of the greats. Two nations put their reputations on the line in a limited battlefield, with only one triumphant after 12 scheduled rounds. The ancient war is set to come back. Joe Smith Jr. was the unfortunate fighter who faced Dmitry Bivol in 2019. Smith Jr. began his career in the sport until turning professional in 2009, having only 2 previous defeats and 22 wins, 20 of which came via knockout. Once his involvement in Bivol's next bout was disclosed, the most optimistic of his fans considered him as an achievable winner. However, Bivol's 15 undefeated victories, 11 of which were knockouts, ensured a tight match, with the outcome uncertain until the very end. On March 9, 2019 in New York City, 2 light heavyweight titans entered the ring. WBA title holder Dmitry Bivol of Russia and powerful American opponent Joe Smith Jr. This fight was full of unanticipated events which we shall reveal today. Joe Smith Jr. was well known as a devastating knockout artist prior to his fight with Dmitry Bivol. Among his 24 victories, 20 were knockouts. Bivol, on the other hand, had a remarkable record, winning 15 fights with 11 knockouts. Despite his abilities, Bivol was not often regarded as a knockout artist. Instead, he depended on his constant speed, rapid strikes, and great boxing IQ. The fight in the spring of 2019 paved the way for 2 very distinct boxing styles to confront. With Gary Rosado as the third man standing inside the ring, the bell rang to begin the opening round of a fight that would eventually go down in boxing history. The first round. Both boxers moved to the middle of the ring, looking for their perfect distance. Bivol preferred long-range attacks, using his jab to keep Smith away. Smith was anxious to narrow the gap and rush at his opponent. Smith looked to be the more powerful combatant, making the difference in physique clearer to see. Smith is a bit larger in size compared to Bivol. Smith Jr.'s hand to the left challenged Bivol's guard, forcing him back until his back hit the ropes. The round began as a standard first-round investigation until Smith Jr. decided to attempt to launch his right hand at Bivol. Bivol prioritized, adopting a firm defensive posture and only releasing his left hand when he felt it was important to remind Smith Jr. that another champion was standing to defeat him within the ring. As the first rounds developed, the fight's dynamic stayed steady. Smith's strong punches often missed their mark, while Bivol deftly avoided and countered to avoid excessive risks. Second round. Neither boxer attacked strongly throughout the first 3 minutes of the battle for reasons of precaution or respect. Nonetheless, the fight's fury never ceased rising. Smith Jr.'s left hand continued to test Bivol's defense. When Bivol began to advance, the American had no choice but to begin moving about the ring. Bivol's left hand might occasionally slip through Smith Jr.'s guard. Bivol's new, more aggressive position negated the American's brave actions in the prior round. Smith Jr. didn't start a challenge until the final seconds, which caused Bivol to dance over the ring and resulted in an unsafe clinch just as the sound of the bell rang to end the round. In the third round, Smith Jr. attempted to perform his previous round's starting strategy, but was immediately pressed against the ropes. When the fight returned to the center of the ring, it was evident that Bivol had terrified him sufficiently to push him into a more tactical fighting approach. At times, brief left-right combinations were hurled at Bivol's body, but they did not connect until toward the end of the round. Bivol next utilized his strong movement against Dizzy Smith Jr., preventing him from landing another accurate shot. In the fourth round, Smith attempted to defeat Bivol, prompting alarm amongst Bivol's fans. Smith Jr. started the punch exchange with a quick left-right combination. Bivol, extending his left hand to keep the distance, attempted to establish the American in the proper position for a perfect attack. During a clinch, Smith Jr. used his right hand to strike Bivol in the back of his head. When the action went on, the American attempted to jump on Bivol, but Bivol held his stance. Bivol's resilience was put to the test with 20 seconds remaining. The American kept assaulting him with great pressure, leaving him with little alternative except to defend himself and absorb them. In a twist that grew into far more of a tangle than a clinch, the referee interfered to create distance between the fighters, thereby freeing the pressure. Smith is doing his best to take out Bivol, but how can the courageous Russian surrender so easily? Bivol took command of the battle around the battle, scoring several powerful blows. Smith, however, refused to give up. Fifth round, a clinch signaled the start of the fifth round. When not clenching, Smith Jr.'s left hand probed Bivol's face. Smith Jr. ended up against the ropes due to a misunderstanding. Bivol threatened him briefly, but the Russian Titan did not intervene. Bivol maneuvered about the ring as necessary, lowering the American's attack accuracy. Smith Jr. publicly decided not to take on in the final seconds. Smith Jr. hesitantly emerged from his corner for the sixth round. While Bivol extended his left hand in order to keep him at bay, the American used quick left-right combos to test his defense. Interestingly, Bivol's defensive left hand was more successful at reaching than Smith Jr.'s offensive one. As a result, the American had little choice but to begin orbiting his opponent. During the final minute, violent clinches took place. Bivol opted to go for Smith Jr.'s head, leaving him with little alternative but to drop it and hold to his body to prevent being hit. Seventh round. It appears that Smith Jr.'s spirit had run out. He began using his left hand in order to maintain Bivol at a distance. Bivol continued to move around the ring, demonstrating amazing energy. However, he was now throwing solid punches. Halfway into the round, a close-range bomb battle revealed the possibility of a knockdown. Smith Jr. responded and released himself from the tension. During the last seconds, both competitors went for long-range fighting. The terrible reality is that until something fundamental happens, the Major Bivol will have a difficult time striking him. Eighth round. The eighth round was a tactical struggle. Neither fighter struck openly, nor did they avoid their opponent's potential offense. The speed of the fight had obviously decreased. As Bivol moved about the ring, Smith Jr. attempted to track him carefully with body punches. In the final minute, Bivol minimized the American's attacks by pounding him with numerous smashes. After trapping him towards the ropes for a couple of seconds, the fight stopped again. Knowing that traditional boxing was not producing results, Smith turned to wrestling tactics in the ninth round. Bivol seems unaffected by the insult, continued to deliver fresh punches and hooks. This is a moment with beautiful jabs. The American's frustration drove him to seize Bivol by the waist without explanation. This prompted the referee to instruct them to separate. Unsatisfied, Smith Jr. grabbed Bivol by the waist again, raising him and flinging him to the floor. As a result, the referee called a timeout. The American received simply a warning about possible point deductions. While everyone else laughed at Bivol, this simply inflamed the beast. Bivol's hands continued to slam into Smith Jr.'s face throughout the round. In the 10th round, Smith continued to miss his goal. A critical moment occurred at the end of the round when Smith delivered a big right hook. Bivol continued to advance, pushing the American guard. His posture was firm, and his fists landed hard. Smith Jr. had no other option except to keep him at a distance. After the closing bell, his rage drove him to brutally push Bivol with his fists extremely near to his face. The American was merely digging himself a deeper grave. Despite struggling to fully recover, Bivol held off Smith's attempts in the 11th round. Smith utilizes his maximum force to defeat Bivol. Smith attempted a desperation attack as the last round began, knowing he was trailing. Bivol maintained control and ignored Smith's attacks. Bivol surrounded Smith and unleashed unrelenting strikes, demonstrating his authority. 12th rounds. Bivol entered the last round with one goal in mind: to prevent his rat-like opponent from winning. With his left hand, he effectively stopped his attack. He made the American bounce around the ring using his skilled steps, and he occasionally delivered hard blows that echoed through his body. With 10 seconds remaining, Bivol surrounded Smith Jr. and openly dealt with him for his regrettable conduct, delivering a fatal flurry of punches that may have resulted in a knockout had there been a little longer on the clock. By the moment the final bell rang, everything was resolved. Dmitry Bivol won the bout by unanimous decision, so everyone who laughed when he was strictly smashed to the floor had to stand up to cheer him. Guys, that is the end of this video. Do you think that Joe Smith Jr. fought at his maximum capability at that point? Write your thoughts in the comments section.